Hi, everybody. This is Jackie Luqman, and welcome to a special edition of Live and Coffee Current Events in Politics in Luqman Nation. For the past few weeks, we have been trying to get down to Richmond, Virginia, to get involved in a case that drew national attention. Another case of an unarmed black man shot dead by the police. In this case, all the cases have been troubling and disturbing and repulsive, but this case was particularly hurtful and egregious because of the situation surrounding this case and how it happened. That was all captured on video. And instead of me telling you the story, I'm sure you've read about it, we had wanted to get down to Richmond to participate with the Virginia Defenders and other local organizations in some rallies and some marches in support of the family of Marcus David Peters, but we were not able to. But we are very honored today to have as a guest and to really talk about the case, this situation, Princess Blanding. And Princess, you are the sister of Marcus David Peters, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to let Princess Blanding talk about her brother. Please tell us who he was outside of this case. Who was Marcus David Peters?
Yes. Marcus David Peters is one of 12 siblings. He sits in the position of third youngest. Marcus just had such a fire in him for life. Not only, is Marcus one of my brothers, he was one of my employees as well. I'm a school administrator, and we were able to bring him on this year as a biology teacher, a high school biology teacher. Just some more information about him. Marcus with honors or first degree in biology with a minor in chemistry, Spanish, and psychology. When Marcus started teaching at the high school, he quickly started to come to me and say, look, I know I can reach these students. I know I can help them. And I think his passion became stronger to start a mentorship program, a youth program for at-risk students, probably a little stronger than his passion to even teach biology, but he found success very quickly. As a novice career switcher teacher, he was able to impress many people, both other co-workers and administration, with what he was able to do, how he was able to get results, and just the relationship that he built with students.
Wow. Wow.
Marcus taught, and I've said this many times, I still stay impressed to this day at how Marcus was able to teach himself how to play the piano. I remember seeing a change in him, a positive change in him in high school, where Marcus was like many high school students, just not really focused. It was a social environment. It was a light bulb moment. And I remember going to my mom's house, and Marcus, day in, day out, he was sitting at the table because my mother was watching my youngest daughter at that time. So when I would go pick her up, Marcus would be sitting at the table hitting the books for hours, and he just refocused himself. He became intrinsically motivated that he was going to go to college, and at that time he had wanted to become a surgeon, which that changed, but we all have to have goals to get us, to where we are now. And Marcus was just an awesome person, I can't think of anything negative about him. Perfect? No. Marcus would never hurt anybody. I never heard Marcus curse. He just, always stayed with a Kool-Aid smile, as I call it, on his face. Just always happy. And he was always so open to just absorbing. Like, I'm a big believer that knowledge is power. And he would always say, kind of jokingly, he would always say, sis, I want to be like you when I grow up, But him and I would just constantly bounce thoughts off of each other. One day he had said something to me about a vision board that he had got. He went and got a big board and put it in his house and created a vision board. I said, hey, Poppy, which is what we call him, his nickname. I said, hey, Poppy, I got a vision board too. And I took a screenshot just a few months ago. and I had sent it to him to just kind of show him, look, man, we're on the same page. You got to write it down. You got to claim it.
Yeah.
And he just had all of his goals. He just had a fire for life. He shouldn't have disappointed.
So, before we talk about how he passed away, I want people to know about you. Who is Princess Blanding, and how did you find yourself in this role as the spokesperson for your family in this really difficult situation?
Sure, I'm a child of God first. I am a mother of 3 beautiful, brilliant daughters. I had my oldest daughter. She graduated. Marcus stayed so impressed, even by his niece. She graduated high school 2 years early with an associate's degree. And she, at 15 years old, she was headed to UVA, and she graduates next year. Marcus constantly just talked about her and bragged about his niece and how focused she was. The whole entire family wrapped her around with love and support to help her to be able to do to me what seemed impossible to so many people. I am a graduate. I'm an educator. I'm an administrator. I had the opportunity to graduate with a bachelor's degree in biology from Morgan State University. Marcus and I both were biology majors. Again, he and I just talked so much, and I was pre-med at one point, he was pre-med at one point. I ended up turning over to education. He ended up turning over to education. We both had dreams of starting a youth program. So again, graduated from Morgan State University with my bachelor's in biology. I then went on to earn my master's in K-12 education administration to become a school administrator, and then I furthered my education and earned my EDS, my specialist degree in education administration as well. I currently am serving as an assistant principal at Essex High School in Tappahannock, Virginia. I too play the piano. I just love my family. We're a very, very close-knit family, and so this became a no-brainer to me. I'm the last.
We lost the audio for a second.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
The last family member that saw Marcus, as I saw him at the end of the school day. So again, I know my brother, I know my family, and I know that if this was me, Marcus would be fighting just as hard as I'm fighting for him. And my promise to him at his burial site was that I will continue to fight for justice and reformation, justice for Marcus and reformation for him, and not just for him, but for anybody else. We can't let this continue to be the norm. It's happening left and right. I feel like we're being hunted. There's no respect for Black lives. We're treated in such inhumane ways. Marcus was never given an opportunity to have his day in court. The police officer served as judge, jury, and executioner on the spot. Although my brother was unarmed and he was very clearly in a crisis, state. You can't expect a person who is having a mental health crisis to be able to follow commands. I hear people say if you just listen to the officer. Well, in a perfect world, where people aren't having mental health crises, then that would have happened. But and because I'm a school administrator and I deal with students who have mental health issues as well, I understand that, you have to go about things differently. I never put my hands on students in an aggressive way. If we did that, the world would be in a turmoil right now. If you look at Texas, in many school divisions in Texas, teachers and administrators are allowed to carry concealed weapons now. If you were to play the same situation out in a school, okay, the world would be turned upside down, because it is not okay to kill people. We are threatened as school administrators and teachers all the time, whether it be by students or by parents, okay? It's not acceptable. We understand that people are in an altered state of mind at times, and there becomes a line. We're professionals, we're trained, and we don't have weapons, but I've been through crisis intervention trainings. I've been through threat assessment trainings,
Right.
and there's other ways to de-escalate opposed to using deadly forces. And so again, my position is my blessing is my strength and my ability to fight. And that's why I have been in the this, in the face of this for my family. It's not everyone's strong suit, but I thank God and I pray every day for strength because I won't give up. I think that sometimes, the political figures here in Richmond, Virginia, in the state of Virginia, that they think and hope that this will lose fuel, that it will die down. We will get to, but I won't. We won't.
I'm so thankful that you took this time to tell us all of that about not just who you are as a person, as a woman, but as a professional, because your perspective as a professionally trained educator who deals with sometimes students who have difficult mental and social adjustment issues is very important in this conversation about what happened to your brother. So take your time and please explain, if you're able to, what happened to Mark David Peters.
I'm sorry. It froze, so I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I was saying that it's that your perspective as a professionally trained educator. You can't hear me? Okay. Let's see. I
can hear you now, but when you were speaking, you broke up, so I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can adjust some audio levels if that helps a little better. So, as a professionally trained educator who has dealt with students who have had mental issues or difficulty adjusting socially, that's a very important perspective that you have in this issue regarding what happened to your brother. So if you can, take your time. Please explain to people what happened to Mark David Peters.
And I'm going to apologize. I kind of heard some of what you said, but it kept freezing.
I'm sorry. So what? Tell us what happened to Mark David Peters.
So on that day, I was not, I was not at the crime scene, nor was I at the Jefferson Hotel. But Marcus taught a full day of biology. He left at the end of the day. He drove over his appointment where he teaches at to his home up in Henrico. He was able to drive without getting any accidents, without being pulled over. Got home, I believe closer to 5 o'clock, early part of 5 o'clock. And from what I was told by his girlfriend, she advised him that he had a meeting at the Jefferson Hotel, which is, he was employed there part-time as a security guard. Marcus was able to successfully and safely drive from home to the Jefferson Hotel. The police, when they tried to control the narrative and show that during their press release, what they showed was Marcus pulling up to the Jefferson Hotel. What I encourage people to take note of is that Marcus did not speed when he was, you don't see him speeding up as he was at Jefferson Hotel. He pulled to the Jefferson Hotel. He doesn't go on the sidewalk. He doesn't go through the building. He parks his car. Marcus gets out of his car. He walks into the Jefferson Hotel and he waves at someone. It appears to be waving at possibly the front desk staff, but he waves. He's completely dressed. And then you see the video becomes very sketchy. You see him on one part of the building, then he's on another part. You see him taking his shirt off. Then you see him appear to be down where security is. It's just very, very scattered. When I questioned, when my uncle and I went to watch the video before it was released to the public, I had my notepad out, and as hard as it was to watch, I had to push past my emotions so that I can pay attention to details. And I asked, why is he appearing and disappearing so much? And what we were told is basically the Jefferson Hotel, which is a 5-star hotel, does not have security cameras in all locations in the hotel. So in my eyes, there's a lot of unknowns as to what happened at the Jefferson Hotel. Being that Marcus was an employee there, they had his emergency contact information. And his family, his emergency contacts were not contacted at all, before his death. We were also advised that it was hours, but it took hours after Marcus left before the Jefferson Hotel staff called the police. That's very suspicious to me. I was told by a news reporter that they received an anonymous email from an employee that the hotel administration advised employees not to call the police. Again, I have that confirmed, but that was passed on to me by a reporter. The Chief Durham again tried to control the narrative, and that was something that was very bothersome to me. I was not, and I am not willing to have my brother go down with them taking one moment of the worst moment in his life and allowing that to cover up all of the positive about my brother. And that's when I initially contacted the media to come so that I can speak and clear the water. Chief Durham went on to use the street cameras to show Marcus's path as he left from the Jefferson Hotel to where things ended. However, what he neglected to do was to show his path leaving from the high school that he worked at to home, because again, that would have shown where he was mentally if he was able to successfully drive from point A to point B without getting in any accidents, without being pulled over, and then his path from home to the Jefferson Hotel. As we watch the video, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure people understand. Your brother was a teacher. He left work that day teaching school.
That's accurate. Accurate. He taught all day.
He had a part-time job
at the end of the day and drove home, which is about an hour, a little over an hour.
So this was not someone that, if we look at the video of that period of time, that awful period of time where he was encountering the police, this was not someone who just didn't have a grip on reality and was causing problems anywhere else along the way. There was no history of trouble. There was nothing. There was just a regular guy.
Maybe a speeding ticket, which who hasn't? I probably have received more speeding tickets than him throughout my lifetime. But Marcus does not have a criminal record.
So continue. I just wanted people to understand who we're talking about here, and what the circumstances was. So please continue with what has been going on. What happened when he encountered the police?
Sure. And so when we watched the body camera footage, before we got too far in it, one of the questions that I asked Chief Durham, and James Lano was with him, was, I believe that knowledge is power. And so before I came, I went ahead and acclimated myself with how a taser works and its effectiveness. And one of my questions was, did both of I think I used the word prongs, but both of the electrodes from the taser penetrate Marcus's body? And they both quickly said no. Only one of the two electrodes penetrated his body, and in their words, therefore, it did not create a complete circuit, a closed circuit. That's very important, because the narrative that they put out, at no point did they clear that up. At no point did they say that. The imagery that they put out was Marcus was hit by a car, tased, and he was still able to advance towards the officer. Marcus was swiped by the vehicle. I had that. I said stop, rewind, slow down so many times just so that picturize what happened. Marcus was swiped by the vehicle. Marcus was tased, but only one of the two electrodes penetrated his body, and as they told us, that was evident by the autopsy, that only one of the two. So there was never, the voltage intended to be delivered was absolutely never delivered to Marcus's body. I also point out that, kind of going back, when the Officer Naitaki gets out of his vehicle, he gets out with his gun pointed at Marcus. Marcus is still in his vehicle. Okay, he got out with the tool that he intended to use, as someone that we're working with clearly said, and Marcus, when he gets out of the vehicle, he doesn't even acknowledge the police officer's presence. He runs towards the highway. not even oblivious to the fact that the officer is even there, going in a completely different direction. Something else that I don't think a lot of viewers know and were able to pick up, but we did, is that on the other side of the highway was a state trooper. Okay, if you look very closely, you'll see a car that pulled over at the medium, and he stopped. He stopped for a while, and then he finally, as the video progresses, he gets out. There was a state trooper on the other side of the highway that saw this all unfold. However, we all only saw the body camera footage of the officer that shot him. There were a total of 7 officers on the scene after my brother was shot. But again, we only see the body camera footage of Officer Nayataki. What I was told when I asked how the body camera worked was that when officers get out of their vehicle, that's when their body cameras turn on. I think they said it's a 30-second delay before the audio kicks in. Mm-hmm. Having said that, where's the video cameras from the other officers who got out of their vehicles as well?
Right.
Additionally, the Officer Nayataki made this very concerning, disturbing comment when I believe a state trooper had said to take out your taser. He made a comment on the line, well, you may need to take out your firearm and use more deadly forces. This comment was made after he had already shot my brother twice. You also see when Chief Durham says that the officers were rendering aid, at no point has myself nor the public seen that take place. We see them putting gloves on, and you see a state trooper, take Marcus by his arms and drag him through the grass. We do not see anyone rendering aid at any point. It was not until about 5 hours or over 5 hours after Marcus was killed, after this whole thing unfolded, that the family was even contacted. Marcus was pulled over. They had Marcus's vehicle. It wasn't like he wasn't in the vehicle. So they had the ability to run his license plate and quickly find out who he was. Right. But again, the family was not contacted until about 5 hours after this all unfolded. There's just so many more questions, and what's unfortunate is the narrative that the police department put out there, and they hope that both myself, the family, and the public will feel that this was justified. When we went to watch the video footage, and I'm paraphrasing only slightly, Chief Durham made a comment to us that we hope that after viewing this video camera footage, it would bring the family closure. It absolutely didn't bring us any closure.
Wow.
That it clearly showed what we already knew, was that this was not justified. So that's where we are. There's so many questions, and sometimes I feel like I'm a detective and I'm a lawyer myself, but I'm just a sister who will not back down. I will not tire, and not just for my brother, for other people, such as Antoine Rose. We are confident. Our youth, our black men, our black females, the elderly. There's no discrimination, when it comes to people of color. But when I say no discrimination, I mean age, gender. We're being hunted, we're being killed, and we're trying to be brainwashed to believe that we deserve to be killed, and it doesn't. I look at it as a modern day lynching intended to prick fear in compliance with the system that is broken.
That's just, you said so much, and at some point we are going to come down to Richmond and be able to meet you all and sit down and talk with you. But I have to ask you, since this has all happened, what has been the response to you or your family from city leadership? Has there been any?
Silence.
Silence?
I have not personally heard from anyone from city officials. I have not.
So,
but your silence is very disturbing. I look at it, as was said during our vigil that we had on Friday, that silence is violence.
Yes.
Not just for city officials, but we as the people. So many times, we sit down and we watch TV and we say, oh, this is horrible. This shouldn't happen. But we do nothing. And that's what we're expected to do. We're expected to sit down and to do nothing. And I encourage people, I'm an educator, but I'm an educator turned activist very quickly, because I won't give up the fight. I won't. And so often we get especially as professionals, we get so comfortable in our position, in our lifestyle, that we don't want to rock the boat, that we don't want to stand up for what we clearly know is right out of a fear. Fear is can be very, very powerful, and powerful in a negative way, but out of fear that if I speak up, my colleagues will look at me a certain way. If I speak up, then there will be backlash from my employment. And I'm thankful to God that I don't have that fear. I have always stood up for what I know to be right, even as I advocate for students. I'm not going to do. I remember my first year as being an administrator. My principal at that time said to me, "You will learn that you will do things that you don't agree with, but you will do them basically to keep your job." And I said to him in response, "I will lose my job fighting for what I know is right. I will not do things that I do not believe in and that I do know are not right, that are unjust." And I still hold that position today. And I encourage, city leaders. I encourage, just citizens to take a stand. This fell on my family's doorstep. And I can tell you now, we never would have seen something like this happen. We've never seen Marcus behave in this way. He clearly was having a mental health crisis. And so many people say, well, why didn't the family help? We've never seen this before. Our family is very close. We've never seen Marcus would never be found undressed. He's too modest, So you can clearly tell that he was not in his right frame of mind, but it was not a death warrant, Right. And again, we so often become brainwashed to believe, well, maybe he deserves it. He did not. And anyone else in a situation similar to this that's having a mental health crisis, or that's unarmed, we can go from so many people, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, you name it. There's always, we're always being led and pushed to believe that it was justified. It was not justified. It is not justified. And we're not going to back down.
It is unfortunate, like I said before, when we tried to connect before, we're always grateful to meet wonderful people, but it is so unfortunate the way we meet wonderful people, because I am really honored that you took the time to talk to us today. And I'm not going to say something trite like I feel your pain, because I don't. Because your pain is particular, but anything we can do to support you and your family, please reach out to us and let us know. And please let our viewers know how they can support you and your family going forward in whatever efforts that you have going forward right now.
Absolutely. And I truly appreciate your support. I appreciate this interview. What I'll say is, first we have on June 30th and at Richmond, Virginia at Second Baptist Church on 1400 Idlewood Avenue, we are having a community meeting, and both Chief Durham and Mayor Stoney have both been requested to come to this and attend this community meeting. They work for the community, okay? And so we are requesting their attendance, and we're requesting your attendance as well as we continue to fight for justice and reformation. For more information on this movement, please follow us on Facebook. We have an event page, Justice and Reformation for Marcus David Peters, and continue to spread the word. When people say, how can they help? If you're in California, if you're in Florida, continue to spread the word. Continue to share on Twitter, continue to share on Facebook, on Instagram. We need to enlighten people. We need to educate people because, again, I reiterate, this fell on my doorstep, right, on my family's doorsteps, okay, on the community's doorsteps. On May 14th, when my brother was shot, we're working hard so that it doesn't fall on anyone else's doorsteps. Because again, this has become the norm, and it's not okay. I'm not going to talk too much, but I also hear people say, well, this is the law. This is the law. Well, if it's the law, it's wrong. Okay, and it just gives me a picture of what's going on with immigration. I'm appalled by it all. And it took the world standing up and saying this is not okay in order to have Trump make a change. Okay, and again, there's still so much destruction that still has to be fixed. But again, make your voice heard. Take a stand. Silence is violence. It's not okay to sit on your hands and do nothing. And we again appreciate all of the support of supporting organizations, of individuals who have taken a stand with us and are continuing to fight with us. We truly love and appreciate you all.
Princess, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk about this, to talk with us. What you just said about people saying that this is the law reminds me, as a person of faith myself, as a woman of God myself, reminds me, because a lot of these people who say, well, this is the law, they claim to be Christians, but they ignore that scripture in the Bible that tells us that, yes, we should obey the law until it contradicts the law of God, until it contradicts the moral imperatives that God has placed in the hearts of all of his people. And these kinds of actions of police officers just following the law and taking the lives of unarmed people who are not posing a threat to anyone, being judge, jury, and executioner on the sidewalk of disproportionate black men and black women, this is not a law that any person of faith should ever continue to support. It needs to stop. And we will continue to talk about these issues until it is stopped. So thank you so much, Princess, for your time today. We are constantly in prayer for the strength for your family and your comfort. And we will definitely be seeing you very soon, hopefully on June 30th. So thank you very much.
Thank you.